Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and back to my kitchen. Today we are going to be making a strawberry cake. This one, I actually got this recipe from a pharmacist that I used to work for, his wife. He used to bring this cake in for little events and stuff at work, and it was amazing. And when I decided to get serious about finding somebody, I told him to give me that recipe because I needed it, because I needed whoever I found to think that I knew how to cook like that. Anyway, let's get started. Today we're making a strawberry cake. I don't know if I said that already, but first things first, go ahead and preheat your oven to 325, and I'm gonna drop the ingredient list down below, so make sure you have that stuff as well. The first step is going to be to take an entire packet of strawberry flavored jello and half a cup of cold water and dissolve them together in a bowl. Now what makes this recipe so easy is that you pretty much just take the rest of the ingredients and dump them in there. It's not, adding one at a time, mix it for 7 minutes, fold this in, then lightly sprinkle. No, you just dump it all in. It's awesome. So before we add the rest of the ingredients to our little jello mix that we have here, we're going to go ahead and take our strawberries. And this isn't in her recipe, but I've found that this makes it so much more moist and a lot more flavorful if you actually chop up the strawberries first. So we're just gonna take about half of this bag, put it into our little blender here, and just chop the hell out of it. Next ingredient we are going to add is going to be an entire bag of white cake mix. Now, if you prefer, you can make your own white cake mix, but we're not trying to spend all that time. We're just trying to make this man a cake and get it done before he gets here. Our next dry ingredient will be 3 tablespoons of flour. Now we're gonna add 4 eggs. What I usually do before adding my eggs is I don't break them directly into the bowl, just in case a little bit of shell gets in there. You don't want him crunching down on shell in the middle of your cake. No ma'am. So I usually just break them into a bowl or a cup. And make sure that you wash your eggs, especially if you get them like I do, which is like straight from the chicken and then into the fridge, not straight from the Walmart and into the fridge, because they're gonna be covered in poop. I don't think I need to explain that one. Next ingredient up is going to be a half a cup of oil. Last but not least, add your nice little strawberry puree. Now, because I do it the way that I do, with the puree, instead of adding the strawberries whole or drying them or draining them or anything like that, this cake is going to be really moist. This is not going to be the kind of cake that I put into a round pan so that I can stack it, because it's probably going to fall apart. If you're going to stack them, you're going to have to back off on that liquid just a little bit. Now grab your beaters and settle in, because we're going to beat this thing for about 5 minutes. Now grab whatever pan you plan on pouring this into and spray it down really good with nonstick cooking spray. pouring your batter into the pan, remember it's going to rise, so you need to give it a little extra room. Do not fill this pan up to the top. Fill it about halfway, and your cake is gonna rise from there. Now we're just gonna pop that into the oven and set a timer for about 30 minutes, and then we'll check it. This is the best part. Okay, so the timer's gone off. Now to check and see if our cakes are ready, all we do is we take a toothpick and we stick it down the middle. See how it's still kind of goopy? Not ready. Needs to go back in for just a little bit longer. Okay, timer's gone off again. Let's check it. I can tell you already it's done because I can look at it and see it. Toothpick is clean. We're good. Now just let them sit there and cool. All right, so while we have the cakes cooling off in the blast chiller, I'm just kidding, this isn't a real cooking show, they're in the fridge, cooling down. We're gonna go ahead and get started on our icing. Go ahead and add the remainder of your strawberries to the blender, chunk them up. Now I do wanna go ahead and note that I did drain these some, so I didn't just add them the way I did to the cake, because we're about to make buttercream, and liquid can mess up your buttercream pretty quickly. All right, hopefully you have your beaters cleaned off again, because we are about to cream up the butter. You're gonna take 1 stick of softened butter, plop it down into your bowl, like this. Ooh, that's a little too soft. Okay, and what I mean by cream your butter is just whip it, that's it. All right, next we're gonna add 4 cups of confectioner sugar along with the remainder of our strawberries. It's fine, it's fine, everything's fine. This part can get a little messy. I don't think you can avoid that. It's gonna get messy. Once you have half of your cups in there, that's 2, go ahead and mix it up and then just keep mixing it as you add it. Once you finish mixing your frosting, check your consistency. If it's too thick, add maybe a teaspoon of milk at a time. If it's too thin, add more sugar. Personally, I like it like this because we're not taking the cake out. Once your cake is cooled off, go ahead and add your icing. Again, for this particular one, I really don't mind that it's this runny because it's going to sit in the fridge, so it's going to harden up, and while it's runny, it'll drip down into any little cracks or crevices and just fill that with icing. Now you're gonna wanna cover it up and put it in the fridge and let it sit. Voila, and bon appetit.